Alright, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the MiG-25PD, which is the, I guess, top reward for the ongoing event. Now this thing here, it's pretty fast. You can go at Mach 3. Of course, you don't really see that speed in game, but you know, you can actually go really fast. You know, you can basically outspeed anything at like 10,000 meters or 9,000 meters or even less than that. Just you have to be really careful not to get too low, and if you do, that you get out of there really quickly, or else you'll get ganged up on by all the enemy fighters. Now, as for loadouts, what I take on this thing is either the two R40 RDs and the two R40 TDs. The TDs are really good at taking out targets which aren't really looking at you. They don't really know you're there. They have like 10-kilometer range against, even side aspect targets. So they're really useful against taking out those people. And the RDs are good against, high altitude targets. And sometimes targets at low altitude, although I do have trouble kind of using this radar there because it doesn't have an ACM mode. That's why I also have this top loadout here, where I replaced the one R40 RD with two R60s. These can also go after targets which aren't looking at you, but don't have the range of the R40. Usually I'm a bit torn which one I take. It's really depending on how I feel like. Late game though, if after I land, I always take this loadout because the R40s are really useful against targets which know you're there, and late game they mostly know where you are. As you may have noticed while listening to me, I'm actually a bit sick right now, so I can't really talk as much in this video as I usually do. This is also post commentary because in air I actually have to pay attention to what I'm doing. I can't really be talking as much. Regardless, right now in this game, this is actually my first game that I've recorded here, and I didn't really find anyone at high altitude, which is why I'm kind of diving down now. Hopefully I'm going to eventually deploy the air brake. Yeah, there we go. And I'm going to go after targets which I think are not going to launch a missile, because missiles or launched missiles kind of act as flares, and you kind of just have to be careful with who you pick here. That Kafir, he doesn't really have any of my friendlies near him, so it's really unlikely that he's going to pop any flares, and it's pretty unlikely he's looking upwards, so that's why I fire kind of both those missiles at him, and there we go. I do eventually get the 2 kills. Wonderful. Unfortunately, nothing else happened in this game other than that, so that's why probably going to cut this out. I guess maybe I can have this little chase scene here with this J7D. He's going to try and catch up to me, which is quite brave of him at this altitude, but he's actually catching up. That's the thing. This thing's only really fast at high altitude, even at 5,000 meters, something, or even 6,000 right now, I guess. A J7D can catch up to you if you're like not careful. What I've done here is kind of just gone in a straight line now because I know that eventually I will be able to outspeed him. But just keep in mind that, other planes are definitely a threat to you below like 7,000 or something like that. Alright, next game here I've decided to take the R60s instead of that one R40 TD on the on the right pylon, I mean. And there we go, we do see someone at high altitude here. So we're just going to launch as soon as we get within 12 kilometers. This map is a bit smaller, so that's why I couldn't really climb as much as I'd like to. And I'm kind of struggling to even keep a lock here, which is a bit cringe, but, eventually the missile will actually hit him. Or no, it won't actually. No, he just completely chaffed it. Never mind, I lied. I didn't watch the footage before. So it looks like it just completely misses. But it is what it is. That's why we do have the 2 R40 TDs and the R60Ms. I'm going to first reset my radar here back down to 30 kilometers, and you can see that all the enemies are essentially all behind me now, so I might as well just go top down. That F-104 looks pretty juicy. I'm going to try to go after him. He's going back to base right now, probably because he bombed or something. But he's definitely not looking upwards, so we're just going to, quickly load up my R40 here. Give it a bit of lead. Fire it away. And there's also an A-10 right over here, who's launching, I think those are Mavericks. We're going to try and lock him as well. With hindsight, it wasn't exactly the smartest decision because he still will keep firing them. But there we go, we're just going to get rid of that one right there. And there's also another one right over here, and there we go, that one tracked the AGM-65, which is not great. For some reason, he got the kill for that, but it is what it is. Now, I don't really know what was under here. I think it was an A-10 or something, so I'm going to try and go completely above him so that he doesn't just notice me. Usually that does help. Do still have the 2 R60Ms here, so we're just going to load that up, fire that away. It's an A10, it's slow, As long as it doesn't flare the missile, it should hit. There we go, he's completely clueless. And just like that, I do get a kill. Second A10 here. Also a bit clueless, but I think he's popping flares. Yeah, there we go, he's popping flares. So, not exactly the best idea to go after him. So I'm just going to kind of climb over the enemy team and eventually pick a target. Alright, there we go. So there's actually a very target-rich environment now, and the problem is I only have one missile, so I kind of have to pick one and hope for the best. I'm going to have to go after this J-37 here, mostly because they're pretty dangerous. You know, they have radar missiles, and yeah, A-10s are not exactly the biggest of threats, and they also pop a lot of flares. Anyway, I've used up all my missiles now, so I have to just return to base, rearm, and then fly back. Alright, so I'm going to cut here right to the end where I already know that the enemy, or the last enemy remaining, is this A10 here, and you can see that he's just constantly popping flares. So the chance that I get him with an R40 TD is essentially zero, so we're going to have to go in low and slow here with my MTI radar. You can see that I'm trying to lock him, but he just isn't really appearing. Because this thing doesn't have an ACM mode, it's pretty hard to actually get a lock up people that are right in front of you. There we go. Just fire an RD at close range and we do actually get the kill. Alright, now the only reason that worked is because he wasn't maneuvering and because he thought he was safe or something. If he had even tried to even do a bit of evasive maneuvers before I got a lock on him, you know, he would have probably been fine because this thing's radar is yeah, pretty difficult to use, especially without ACM mode. Alright, from this game on, it's going to be no commentary because, yeah, I'm a lazy bastard and my voice is not exactly having a great time. Happy New Year, guys. You know, has certainly been one hell of a year. Hopefully 2026 will certainly be a bit better in some regards, but hey, it is what it is. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next year then. Bye-bye. Alright, well that does it for this video. Hopefully you guys are doing a bit better than I am today. But you know what? It is what it is. I mean, 2025 is over, 2026 is on the horizon. And yeah, I mean, looking forward to it, I guess, you know, what the game has to offer. Stay safe. And I'll see you guys in the next year then. Bye-bye.